Hey everyone, welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian, and today's episode is an absolute game changer. It's not every day that you see the future Queen of England meeting quietly behind closed doors with one of the most powerful women in American philanthropy, just weeks after Meghan Markle hires that same woman's former right-hand advisor. Yep, Princess Kate met with Melinda French Gates at Windsor Castle, no photos, no press release, and only a tiny court circular mention for public consumption. And this wasn't just tea and biscuits, this was power chess. Because, make no mistake, Meghan and Harry have been making serious strategic moves on the global philanthropy board, and it looks like the royals are scrambling to respond. So, what's really going on here? What does this unexpected meeting mean, and why is it only happening now, just as Meghan's empire is entering a dynamic period of growth? You know the drill. Get comfy. This is Meghan and Harry Tales, and we're going all the way in. It was Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. On what seemed like an otherwise quiet week for royal news, the court circular quietly slipped in a curious detail. The Princess of Wales, with the Prince of Wales, received Miss Melinda French Gates at Windsor Castle this afternoon. No photo call, no social media post, no BBC interview afterward, just one carefully worded sentence. But if you've been paying attention, you know that behind that one line lies a swirling storm of royal panic, PR recalibration, and some truly fascinating power plays. Because Melinda Gates, as many of you know, isn't just a wealthy philanthropist. She's a global icon in her own right and someone whose presence at Windsor Castle carries immense symbolic weight, especially now. Let's rewind the clock by a few weeks. In late May, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry announced that they had hired Sarah Fosmo, a high-level operations executive who spent 6 years working as a close aide to Melinda Gates at Gates Ventures. Fosmo was tasked with overseeing what insiders called a dynamic period of growth for Meghan, including her lifestyle brand As Ever, her new Netflix series With Love, Meghan, and her upcoming podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. So now ask yourself this. Kate just invited Melinda into the royal fold after Meghan hires her ex-assistant. Coincidence? No way. Let's talk about Melinda French Gates, billionaire, advocate, strategic powerhouse. Since her split from Microsoft founder Bill Gates, she has built her own separate legacy through Pivotal Ventures, an organization focused on women's empowerment, racial equity, and inclusive innovation. Melinda has long been seen as one of the most influential women in global philanthropy. She's not just cutting checks, she's shaping policy, funding startups and changing systems. She thinks big, and she moves fast. So it's no wonder Meghan tapped into that orbit by hiring Sarah Fosmo. Fosmo is no ordinary assistant, she's a high-stakes operations guru. The kind of woman who's used to working in billion-dollar environments, navigating complexity, and making real-world results happen behind the scenes. Fosmo's resume? It reads like a who's who of global thought leadership. 7 years with Tony Robbins, 6 with Melinda, and now she's steering Meghan Markle's business portfolio. This isn't Meghan playing catch-up, this is Meghan outpacing the monarchy. And suddenly here comes Kate quietly trying to reinsert herself into the narrative by meeting with Melinda herself. But why now? And what were they really talking about? Let's be honest, the Royal Foundation has struggled to stay relevant in the modern era. While it still does great work, it's built around slow-moving initiatives like early childhood and mental health support. Worthy causes, of course, but the execution? Often bureaucratic, sometimes performative. Now, contrast that with what Meghan and Harry have built in California. Through Archewell, they've partnered with the World Central Kitchen, supported Afghan refugee resettlement, pushed vaccine equity, and backed responsible technology. And they do it with transparency, agility, and modern storytelling. Meghan's hiring of Fosmo wasn't just about hiring a staffer. It was about aligning with the Gates philanthropic ecosystem, the same ecosystem that has billions of dollars in active deployment, tens of millions of girls' lives affected, and a reach that stretches far beyond the Royal Foundation's grasp. Kate's meeting with Melinda feels like a reactive move, an attempt to pull the Gates name back into the UK royal sphere before Meghan locks it down completely. But let's not forget this isn't the first time the palace has scrambled to follow Meghan's lead. Remember when Meghan launched her Spotify podcast, and suddenly Sophie Wessex appeared on a British podcast talking about her quiet work? Or when Meghan and Harry supported veterans through Invictus, and suddenly William began appearing at military charity events? This is part of a pattern. Meghan moves, the royals imitate. Now, let's turn our lens to the British media. Because if you thought the tabloids were going to treat Kate's Gates meeting the same way they handled Meghan's Fosmo hire, think again. Here's how the Kate story was framed. Princess Kate's inspirational meeting with Melinda Gates signals renewed global partnerships. Now compare that to this headline after Meghan hired Fosmo. Meghan Markle hires billionaire's former aide in latest bid to stay relevant. Relevant? Since when is hiring a top-tier advisor a cry for attention? It's pure misogynistic coding. When Kate meets with a global philanthropist, she's inspiring. When Meghan hires the woman who actually built the logistics behind that philanthropy, she's grasping, calculated, ambitious. This isn't journalism, it's character assassination dressed up as commentary. And here's the wild part: Meghan hasn't said a word about Kate's meeting with Melinda. Not a tweet, not a leak, not a subtle dig. Because Meghan isn't playing the tabloid game anymore. She's building something bigger. Let's take stock of what Meghan and Harry are working on right now. With Love, Meghan, a feel-good docuseries blending lifestyle and impact designed for global streaming audiences. As ever, a product line already selling out within hours of launch, built on sustainability and self-care. Confessions of a Female Founder, a podcast that's already drumming up interest before the first episode even drops. Prince Harry's continued leadership of Invictus Games with Birmingham 2027 shaping up to be their biggest edition yet. Archewell's charitable wing growing every quarter and already matching many UK royal foundations in donation impact. All of this managed by a team that now includes Melinda Gates' former operations expert and a veteran executive assistant from Harry's own earlier staff. They're not messing around. They've gone from surviving the British press war zone to quietly expanding into one of the most socially conscious media and philanthropy empires in modern pop culture. And that's what the palace sees. That's why the Kate-Melinda meeting had to happen now. This story isn't really about a billionaire or a meeting or even a Netflix deal. It's about what the future of global leadership looks like. The old world, where you had to be born royal or knighted or married into a title, is losing its grip. The new world? It rewards vision, agility, empathy and results. Meghan and Harry have embraced that world. Kate and William, despite good intentions, are still figuring it out. It's no longer about who wears the crown. It's about who actually gets things done, who uplifts women, who funds the grassroots, who supports mental health beyond ribbon cuttings and speeches. And let's be clear, that's why the institution fears Meghan. Because while the firm clings to tradition and protocol, Meghan is aligning with billion-dollar foundations and building scalable models for social good. She's speaking directly to Gen Z and millennials, not through a press secretary, but through content that resonates. In the end, here's what I want you to remember. This quiet little meeting between Kate and Melinda, it's not just a blip. It's a signal that even the palace knows Meghan's moves matter. The fact that Meghan, a woman who's been demonized and disrespected by the UK media machine, is still attracting top-tier talent that should tell you everything. While the palace clings to pageantry, Meghan and Harry are out here building partnerships that shape real lives. And to those who say she should just stay quiet, or why does she need to be so public? Maybe ask yourself why her silence still makes headlines, why her hires still shake up Windsor, and why the palace is still chasing the shadow of the woman they tried to push out. The truth is, Meghan's not chasing royalty. Royalty is trying to catch up to her. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If this episode opened your eyes, hit that like button. If you support Meghan and Harry's work, share this video with someone who needs to see the truth behind the headlines. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more weekly stories that cut through the noise and focus on facts. This has been Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian. Until next time, keep questioning, keep thinking, and most importantly, keep supporting those who lead with heart. See you soon.